Hello and welcome to Merlins Brick News, the weekly show on all things brick building, where we talk about set updates and announcements from all the major brands, MOCs of the week, and a couple of reading recommendations as well. Information is presented as always by setb.org, the best source for set information in the internet. And by the way, did you know that the setb now has a new feature in our search? I think I talked about this in the past. So if you start searching on the upper right corner, you can just by pressing enter or clicking on the more button, you can move into the advanced search piece, and here we now have the actions column where, similar to your collections and other areas of the site, you can now directly add the sets that you have found to your favorites, wanted list, availability alerts, price alerts, stuff like that, or put it like I've done with those two because I have built them into your collection and basically go from there. So this is now directly feasible from the search. Second new feature that we have, if you go on newsletter, we had in the past just the set update email newsletter, where you basically get an email notification on new sets from the brands that you have selected here. It's only a sub-selection of the brands. I think we have 32 now in the site or in the database. It's only for these 5, but anyhow, you can get basically an email alert. This is not new. What is new though, that you can now get alerts on other content from the site, like news, deals, articles, podcasts like the news show today. So if you want to have immediate email notification, this is now feasible as well. Or you can get basically a daily or weekly wrap up. And please ignore that this is still in German. This is actually a mishap. I will fix this right after recording the show. This is actually German, not English. Anyhow, it's very similar, right? Article and German article is more or less the same. Anyhow, the third option feature that we now have since this week is if you have your collections, for instance, these are all the sets that I've built in 2023, we now have export options. You can do this both for minifigures as well as sets. So we have Excel and PDF and other stuff, but also Bricklink XML. So if you want to transfer this into a Bricklink wanted list or to another platform, this is feasible as well. We do not have an import option at this point in time, and we do not have part lists. So you can do this only with sets and minifigures, but for sure this is something we are going to work on, and I've built 105 sets this year. That's crazy. But anyhow, we will come to that in a second. Now we are moving on first, however, and talking about set updates for this week. As always, from setb, and here we have from BlueBrixx an announcement that they will make an American ambulance from 1959. I mean, this car is very well known from a very well known movie, and actually I think this is what BlueBrixx is aiming for. However, they don't have a license, so this is why this is, of course, not the Ghostbusters car. But it is very similar. The 107701, it's going to have 2,348 pieces. As always, it's going to be a BlueBrixx special, i.e. Only digital instructions, and usually the pieces are not sorted into stages or bags, but just you basically have to sort them yourself. As always with BlueBrixx specials, and we don't know a price because BlueBrixx will only announce the prices when the set is on shelves, as always. Anyhow, I think it's a beautiful design, very well done. I've never built the Lego one, so that's why I'm not really sure how far it compares. But I guess with that many pieces, it's going to be bigger, I guess, and also a bit more detailed than the Lego version. And of course, a big benefit, especially if you come from Lego, is that BlueBrixx usually, like most other brands, don't use as many colorful pieces as Lego does, so it doesn't look like a rainbow from the underbelly or from the inside, like many Lego sets do. But yeah, nevertheless, another option to get this very popular car into your collection. With that, we're moving on to my personal highlight, I think, of the week. And this is the Medieval River Harbor, the 107671 by BlueBrixx. An announcement. This thing is going to have 3,199 pieces. As the name suggests, that is part of BlueBrixx medieval line. And yeah, I think it's a beautiful design again, done by Anton. The only thing I'm not so happy about, first of all, I mean, the river is done in a very, very simple way. Basically, just trans black clear or trans black plates on the bottom. That's not much water here. I guess it's more a starting point. This is how I would look at it. And I think this thing screams like, okay, embed me into a bigger mock, bigger diorama. with actual water and a bit more depth to it. But the other thing that I personally not so happy about is that the entire the harbor itself is not very high, right? It's like almost on water level, which from my point of view is a bit too close. But yeah, nevertheless, it's minifigure scale. It's pretty large. Don't underestimate how huge this thing is. And I think it's a great addition to the BlueBrixx medieval line. And as you can see here in ZDB, I've already set an availability alert because I definitely intend to build this one. Then there's another one, the Achievements of Humanity, the 107689 by BlueBrixx. It has 1169 pieces, or is going to have, I should rather say, designed by Sebastian. And this, yeah, basically is the history of mankind in a small diorama. I mean, I'm not sure if I understand everything, right? But you have temples and castles, you have Stone Age stuff here as well, the invention of fire, or maybe, I guess, it should rather be the discovery of fire. But anyhow, shields, Roman shield, a Roman aqueduct, all this kind of stuff, a windmill, medieval. So it's all there up to the space shuttle and a couple of skyscrapers. There's the steam engine train. So yeah, basically, as the name suggests, it is a diorama that goes through human history. And I think that is pretty cool, right? Especially also if you have folks like visiting your home and everybody. I'm pretty sure this is something, you know, people will talk about. Like, okay, what is this? What is this depicting? Etc. etc. So yeah, pretty cool set. 1169 pieces as always, because it's only an announcement, no prices. Like we have for this rescue boat. I'm pretty sure this is mostly a German thing. So I guess for you international audience, not that interesting. Basically, die Seenotretter, that is the German, or DGZRS, Deutsche Gesellschaft zur Rettung Schiffbrüchiger. It's basically our German Coast Guard search and rescue organization, which, however, is not run by the government. It's a speciality, especially not quite uncommon, I should rather say, for Germans, that there's something that is not organized by the government. And yeah, for historical reason, this is actually, I think this is run by a trust. And yeah, they don't get any tax money, and basically this is how search and rescue is done in German waters. And yeah, so the BlueBrixx has a collaboration with the organization for quite some time now. Not for quite some time. It's actually one set is already out, and this is the second one. I guess what is also interesting for some people, that BlueBrixx has also now included minifigures. This is a new minifigure lineup that BlueBrixx is currently working on. They have already released a couple of kit sets, so this is the first adult set with minifigures, and I must say, well done job. This is pretty cool that they now also have minifigures, and I guess we will see these in more and more sets. Set itself, I assume, is going to be made by Xingbao, as is the case with most BlueBrixx Pro sets. And of course, everything that you see here should be pet printed. So usually in these sets, they don't have any stickers. It's all pet printed, which is pretty cool. And as you can see, I mean, you can't because it's German, but basically they're saying every time you buy a set, €2 will be donated to this organization, which is pretty cool. This is exactly what a company like this should do. Anyhow, let's move on to an availability. And this is the V100 locomotive in dark red. This is a 106969. It's just a train or locomotive, you may say. And with that, not even such an interesting one. This is actually a German locomotive. Diesel locomotive, but the coolest thing is this thing has 5,475 pieces, so I guess it's minifigure scale. It's 1/18, no, it's even bigger than minifigure scale. So this thing is a BMOS. It's huge. It is a BlueBrixx special, but I was told that it has stages or stage separation, so you know you don't have 5,500 pieces on your desk. This is not going to happen. I was told. I can't confirm this myself. I may build it maybe next year, but yeah, for the time being, just look at these pictures, and it's just amazing to have a locomotive like this. This is really, really cool. So for all you train enthusiasts, I think this is good news. Let's move on to Cobi, and here we have one availability and one that is now in pre-order. Available is now the Panzer 3 or Panzer 3 Ausführung J. So basically Variation J, I guess, is the best translation. It's a 2281 by Cobi. It's a 1/35 scale tank. Obviously, from World War II, from the World War II Historical Collection by Cobi, it has one minifigure and 590 pieces, and you can buy it over here in Europe for around 49 euros. As always with Cobi, it takes quite a while before it goes across the pond, and I don't even know what the situation in the Asia-Pacific region is, so Cobi still, as a brand like BlueBrixx, pretty much focused on the European market. But I think you can buy it overseas, so for all of you military historical enthusiasts, I think this is a pretty cool vehicle. Cobi calls this a 2-in-1. Basically, you can extend the cannon a little bit, like by 2 centimeters, I guess, because this thing had 2 variations with 2 different cannons. One was the 42 lengths and the other one was 60. So Cobi calls it a 2-in-1 set, but maybe that's a bit overdone. Anyhow, let's move on to a European airplane, the fighter jet to be precise, the Panavia Tornado GR1 version. So this is a Royal Air Force version, the 5852. So the Tornado was actually built between 1979 and 1998. They made 990 of these bad boys. It was a collaboration between Britain, Germany, and Italy. Those 3 I'm absolutely sure about, maybe even more. European countries, but France, for instance, was not involved. Always kind of a bit of an issue over here in Europe, like the French are always doing their own thing in military topics, usually. Anyhow, this fighter jet. It is in service since 1980 and to this day in service in multiple air force. I think it was also exported, not that much. I think Saudi Arabia has a couple of these as well. Anyhow, Cobi has made a 1/48 scale model. I think overall they will have 3 different Tornadoes available. This is the first one, has 520 pieces, 2 minifigures, basically 2 pilots. It's a 2-seated fighter jet, 1/48 scale, and you can buy it over here in Europe for around 40 euros. And Cobi itself is listing it for 48, which brings me to the conclusion that I think the price will come down a little bit more, maybe to 35, something like that. This is just my assumption. As always, with fighter jets in this size, you have different variations and options how you can present it. You know, you can just put it on a shelf, put it on a stand. Like I said, you can throw the minifigures in, put them on the side. There are even studs, if you see here on the stand, where you can put the minifigures as well. So they have multiple decoration options. The Tornado is a jet that can basically change the wing position. So this is in the model included as well. Anyhow, with that, we're moving on to Lego. And here we have only a quick news. Of course, I guess it's not a news anymore. Everybody has reported about it. I guess everyone who was interested has already bought it. The Marvel Avengers Tower, of course, is available since last week, Friday, 76269. It's a kind of, in quotes, Black Friday set of Lego this year. In the recent years, it used to be very large icon sets like the Eiffel Tower, Titanic, Colosseum, and now it's a license set. This is the first time, but I think it fits, and I think it was a pretty good deal on Friday. You got, I think, up to 3 gift with purchases with it, including a Marvel cap, and that was, I guess, a bit exclusive as part of this one, and 2 other gift with purchases as part of Black Friday. I think all of these are more or less out. The cap may still be available in some regions. I think I've heard it is out of stock in the US, but at least in Europe you can still get it, or at least were able to get it yesterday when I checked last time. But of course, the Black Friday gift with purchases may not be available anymore. So anyhow, personally, I think now is the time to wait for discounts. I think buying it on Friday was actually a pretty good deal with 3 gift with purchases. Plus, for a licensed Marvel set, it's not even that bad to begin with, right? With $500, I mean, in Star Wars, this thing would have been 600. I'm almost 100% sure. 500 is for a Lego license set in that size already a relatively decent deal. Let's put it that way, and let's not get too excited. Plus 3 gift with purchase was, I think, pretty okay. Over in Europe, I'm pretty sure we'll see discounts maybe 6 to 9 months from now. In the US or North America, it usually takes a bit more time, right? Because mostly, I guess, it has to be done by Lego itself. I think over here there's a pretty good chance that certain retailers will get this one as well. Anyhow, let's see going forward. As you can see, several Lego recognized fan medias have already published reviews on this one. So let's move on. Pantasy, here we have a set that is not yet officially announced by Pantasy itself, but the first Chinese retailer or the first Chinese retailers have this one in stock, and that is the retro food truck. 85011. As you can see from the name and the number, it's part of the retro lineup of Pantasy, and yeah, it looks pretty cool. That last front window, I mean, of course, I would have liked to have a different piece here. I guess it's not available to Pantasy, so they basically combined the front window out of, I don't know, a dozen pieces almost, it looks like. But next to that, I think it looks pretty nice. Of course, I can't confirm this because I haven't built this set, but usually modern Pantasy sets are all pet printed 100%, no stickers. So if that is the case, this would be amazing, especially if you look here at the back. I mean, if these are all pet printed, this would be amazing. I say would because at this point in time, I don't know. On the other hand, I mean, if you look also at all these waves, this is almost impossible to do with a sticker, especially as the sticker would need to go across like 25 pieces. So I'm almost 1% sure these are pet printed, which would be like a masterclass for all the other companies, including Lego, because I think there's almost nobody out there who would actually pay the price to print all of this. But again, just speculation at this point. What I can say is that this thing is 15.5 centimeters width, slightly below 19 height and 40 in length. So it's not a small asset. It has 2,300 pieces, and you can buy it in China for around, I guess, including shipping, maybe 80 to 90 bucks, depending on where you live. So this is a real bargain for that set, assuming that you will get pet printed pieces with this one. Again, not confirmed. Then I have a new brand in the database. So we are now at 32 different brands. Obviously, like Cobi and Lego are by far the biggest ones when it comes to number of sets, but number of brands, we are now at 32, and we have a new brand, Rastar. Rastar, I have no idea how this is supposed to be pronounced, which looks pretty interesting. So as far as I know, I haven't built a set. I will definitely build one. I'm pretty sure I'm going to build this bad boy here. But based on what I've heard is this is all BlueBrixx pieces and they're all pet printed, which is amazing in my point of view. This is like a dream come true. And it seems to me, looking at these pictures, that also everything that you see here is pet printed. I mean, this would be a true dream come true, but that needs to be confirmed. Like I said before, I haven't built one, but I definitely intend to build this one here. So this brand is new. They have maybe like 8 or 9 sets at this point. Couple of 8-stud white cars, like Formula 1 racers, again with a license. And they have a couple of Technic sets. And I think this one here is the current flagship, the Audi R8 LMS GT3, and like I said, they do have a license, which is really, really cool. This thing has 3,314 pieces. It's 60 centimeters in length, 15 height, 26.5 in width. And it looks amazing, right? I mean, if you look at this picture, I mean, I'm not really an Audi kind of guy, but oh my God, this thing looks really, really cool. I think this could be a very strong competition for Cada. If everything that we know so far is true. So really looking forward building one of these. And yeah, I think that's all that is about to say. It's a scale 1/8. I guess that's not a big surprise. Let's figure this out, and you can buy it right now in China, again, plus shipping, depending on where you live, maybe for around 140 bucks. Which is quite okay, considering that you get 3,300 pieces, and considering that, based on what I know so far, you have a lot of prints. And you have BlueBrixx pieces, which is quite astonishing. So these brands, Rastar, but also what Pantasy is nowadays doing, make me really hopeful that this is the future, that we will have sets with very good pieces, clean licensing, and all pet printed. I mean, that is amazing. And I guess, I don't know, if that is the direction of many of Lego's competitors, then I think there will be more areas than just Technic where Lego is going to be in trouble. Anyhow, let's move on. I have just picked a second set. I mean, let's do this differently. Let's go into set to be into Rastar. As you can see here, they have various different sets. I should also mention that some of them can also be bought in a motorized version. They actually have a different number. This is slightly different compared to other brands. So it's not like they have optional motorization. They are basically traded like 2 separate sets. I have in the set to be only the non-motorized versions. But if you go on the shop site, if the shop has the motorized version available, you can buy them as well, of course. Like I said, they have a couple of 8-stud cars as well, like for instance, again, with license or pet printed. This one I know for sure because I know someone who has built this one here. This is all pet printed. And yeah, they look really amazing. They have slicks as tires, which is so cool. Something that Cada now has for the large models, but for the 8-stud Cada Formula 1 Alfa Romeo, they actually don't have slicks. These guys here have, which is really, really cool. So these are slicks. All the pieces are pet printed. Quite an amazing package. Anyhow, I'm looking forward to see more from this brand. With that, we're moving on to TGL. Here we have now in Asia availability. I think I talked about this one here before, the 54.2. Of course, this is without license, a Ford GT. And because of that, of course, it looks very similar to the Lego set. However, it's entirely different. I mean, yes, they're both based on the same car, but this bad boy has almost 3 times the pieces. So this is 3,056 pieces, and you can buy it in Asia. This includes shipping. I think I always use here the shipping in the price indication for Europe. And you can buy this in China for $130. That's 4 cents a piece. And I guess this is, however, without original packaging. Always keep that in mind. So if you want the original packaging, usually you have to pay a bit more. So yeah, pretty large Technic set. It's 60 centimeters in length, 31 in width, and 15.5 in height. So keep that in mind. That's a slightly different ball game than what Lego has done recently. 1/8 scale Technic vehicle. Anyhow, let's move on to a couple of reading recommendations. So we have published a review on the new BlueBrixx lighting kit for the Lego UCS Venator, the 75367. So if lighting is your cup of tea, I usually don't use BlueBrixx for very large sets because it's just unbelievable how much stuff you have to throw in, right? BlueBrixx, just for you who have never built them, it's similar to LightMyBricks, for instance. That means you get individual LEDs, cables, etc., plugs. And compared to, for instance, light tailing, where you have basically pre-soldered cables where all the LEDs are already connected, and then you usually, I don't know, even for a huge set like Rivendell, I had like 4 pieces that I then had to throw in the set, which is still, because it's a retrofit solution, still a lot of work, right? You have to disassemble the set, at least in certain areas, and then you throw in the entire cable. But with BlueBrixx, it's different because it's all individual pieces. So stuff that you get off the bags looks like this, which of course has the huge benefit that you can remove it from the set again. You can change it, of course. So for instance, what some of these companies do is, good example is you have plants and they throw in green LEDs into the plants, which of course is not very realistic, or blue LEDs into water. So it looks like a pool, but it's actually not a pool. It's a lake, for instance, right? That doesn't make much sense. So the big benefit is you can adapt it, you can change it, and of course you can remove it from the set again and maybe use it in a mock or in a different set. So that's a big benefit. The drawback is, though, that especially for larger sets, it's a lot of work, and sometimes you also don't have much space. I think I used the BlueBrixx kit for the Sanctorum Marvel modular in quotes. And it was really, it was tough work. There was never enough space, and you had just had a million cables and not enough space. However, the Venator, of course, is very different because you have space like crazy, so you can do stuff like this. And the result was pretty cool, actually. There's a lot of lighting. The great thing about, or the interesting thing about the Venator is that the Lego designers had already thrown in a ton of trans blue pieces, basically. So what BlueBrixx in a nutshell is doing here, that wherever the Lego designer threw in a trans piece, they put an LED in, and the result looks like this. Pretty cool, actually. Especially the engines look really amazing. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. So if you're interested in that, take a look at this read. And then a review here. And actually, this is one out of many reviews that we are now started to posting on the site. This one here is the 75342 on the Republic fighter tank. Actually, I think a set that is going EOL not too far in the future. Pretty cool set, actually. I had a lot of fun with it. Great minifigure collection. Still, of course, I mean, it's like a battle pack on steroids in many ways. I think a lot of people buy this most and foremost for the minifigures, but of course, for that, it's quite expensive. But nevertheless, I had a lot of fun with it. However, it's not as good as the, in quotes, virtual predecessor is, the 501st, which I think had a similar concept. But nevertheless, pretty cool minifigures. Had a lot of fun with it. Speaking of that, we have 2 other reviews that you may want to take a look at on the site. Another one is on the 332nd Ahsoka's Clone Trooper Battle Pack, the 75359. I think that is the most current battle pack still. I really liked it. However, I do admit I may not be the most neutral observer, because this scene that you are seeing right here is, I think, for me personally, one of the most dramatic and iconic scenes. I mean, those 2 things together in the history of Star Wars, in my personal opinion. So as a result, of course, I had like very warm feelings because of this moment. But yeah, it's a pretty decent battle pack. A bit too expensive from my point of view. I would have liked to have these at a much lower price point, actually. Like, I'm still a €15, $50 battle pack kind of guy, and I wish these times were back. And then we have something else from Mode King, the Veyron, the 27027. So 8-star car review, 8-star car, i.e. that what Lego calls a speed champion. Mode King has this line as well, and of course they're trying to build this car here, which worked to a certain degree. All in all, I think the Veyron shapes are very hard to make. But yeah, I think they did a decent job. What I really don't understand is the wheels, these 2 colored wheels. I don't know, they look a bit like 90s to me, and definitely don't look like what the actual car is looking like. And so yeah, I think it's not perfect, but I mean, it's a nice car, a nice build. And the great thing what Mode King is doing here, or thanks to Mode King, we have so much more variety nowadays compared to just buying Lego Speed Champion. Speaking of such, so this is just a small extract out of a lot of reviews that we are currently publishing on the site. So don't get used to this. This will not stay like this. This is just basically I have started translating reviews that I have published on my German site into English. So these are basically all translation. I mean, it's still my language. Don't get me wrong. It's still my stuff. But this is the reason why so much is now coming in the pipeline, because I'm basically going back and translating all these reviews. So this will go on, this storm of interesting stuff will go on for the next couple of weeks. And after that, we are on regular cadence. Going forward, all the reviews that we are publishing on one of the 2 sites, we will translate into the other language. That's at least the plan. Basically, now we are just going into the archives and bringing stuff over. So that's in a nutshell what we are doing. By the way, if you do speak German, you can always on this site just click on the beautiful British flag and move to Deutsch, which is basically the German side. And then you will see all this stuff on the German side as well, which of course over here includes also a lot of review videos. Those we are not going to translate, but all of these are basically with the black logo. These are all the written reviews that we are now starting to move over. With that, we are moving on to MOCs of the week, and here we have a couple of interesting stuff that I found on Rebrickable. First, we have the Emerald Knight carriages, in large size, by Trains with Lights. And yeah, I'm a big fan of this design, and really cool looking locomotive. The cars look beautiful as well. I'm actually not 1% sure this design or this MOC only is going to cost you $3. I'm actually not 1% sure. I think it's the entire train. I don't know. The piece count does not... okay, yeah. So I think it's multiple MOCs. It's a different form for the locomotive. These are basically just the instructions for the wagons, which look pretty cool, actually. I also like what I've seen on the pictures so far from the Lego Orient Express, the new one. At least the cars look pretty nice. The locomotive is a bit too tiny, plus it cannot be motorized. So this one is for sure much more beautiful. But yeah, altogether, I think it's an amazing train. Great design by Trains with Lights. And with that, we are moving to, I guess, my favorite for this week. I'm just a big fan of the 41757, so the France Botanical Garden. It's just an amazing set in so many ways. Quite expensive considering that at least I would, I guess, buy four of them. But yeah, if you have a budget for this, what you can do here is with this design by BlueBrixx, you can just buy 2 of them and then throw in a couple additional pieces, and you have this beautiful botanical garden, which just looks amazing. So yeah, I think it's a great set, and you see a lot of mocks on Rebrickable around this set because it's just a great starting point to do your own botanical garden, right? You have all the important pieces in there, and already the Lego team has done a great design. However, it's only 1/4, if you will, of a full botanical garden. So yeah, depending on your budget, you can buy a lot of these. And this is an idea here, how to do it. With that, we're moving on to from Alirvin Experts. I'm pretty sure I've pronounced this entirely wrong, and they even have a trademark on this. Really? That's interesting. The Ruined King, out of their, what they call the Ultimate Collector Series, it's a pirate ship with 5,847 pieces, and it looks really, really cool. I mean, yes, it's a kind of fantastical pirate ship, if you will, right? Like a little bit like Pirates of the Caribbean kind of style, right? With the big mouths and the big cannons and everything. But yeah, it has an interesting design for sure. It is unique in many ways, and everything is brick built, including the cannons, the sails, which I'm personally a big fan of. I don't need cloths for that in my Lego design, but yeah, this one is actually pretty cool. And then we're moving on to an interesting build by Brick Studio Architect, the Double Natural History Museum. I mean, the Natural History Museum is just going to market. Actually, quite interestingly, I have mine already here, and no, I'm not Lego recognized fan media. Actually, for whatever reason, at least over here in Europe, Lego has started shipping these last week. I received mine last Thursday, and I'm not the only one. I do know this. I have no idea what is going on. I mean, I pre-ordered like so many other folks, and yeah, they started shipping last week, and a lot of folks over here are getting their copy. I don't know why, and just let me know if this is in other regions of the world as well. I have not heard it from North America or other areas, but at least in Europe, that is what is actually happening. Anyhow, what Brick Studio Architect has done here with this one, they used two and basically made a bigger one, which is cool, which is very interesting. However, I would argue that the main issue that I personally have with the set, I've actually built it already yesterday, it's in front of me, is that it's, especially the upper floor, is quite naked, if you will. It's too simple. There's just not enough stuff in there, and this is something that Brick Architect couldn't solve by just using this set twice. But from my point of view, you could easily throw in another 1,000 pieces, even in the Lego set, and just get more stuff in, because I don't know. I think for a Lego modular, there is not enough going on in this set. And this is something that Brick Architect couldn't solve. However, it's basically, yeah, you have a lot more from all of it, right? You have a second dino. By the way, the dinosaur also from the Lego set is just amazing. Especially the ground floor looks pretty cool, pretty detailed. It's a lot larger. So great idea by this designer, and you have to pay for the instructions $10, which I think is quite okay for 6,500 pieces in the mock. With that, we're moving on to the Crow's Nest from Brickchester, medieval message tower. And yeah, I think it's a really beautiful design. It's to a certain degree modular, by means you can pull the four corners apart and then basically rearrange them slightly differently if that is your cup of tea. Actually, here you see 3 different versions how this could be arranged, which is a nice touch. Not something I would rather need very necessarily, but it looks cool, I think. And the tower is very detailed, looks really pretty. Overall, a great design. Actually, this is a mock designer I would really recommend taking a look at. I mean, so many of his or her, actually don't know, I guess it's a he, but I don't know, has very well-known designs. I think many of those I've also reported on in the past, but they're just all amazing. It's an amazing lineup of interesting mocks, especially around medieval and pirate themed mocks. It's really amazing. And yeah, with that, moving on to another interesting idea by Bonobo, who has actually basically, I mean, what Lego has done with the Natural History Museum is basically take the one as a reference, the one from New York, right? And so what Bonobo has done is a similar concept, but using the one in London. This thing has 3,849 pieces, which is very interesting personally, because if you look at the pictures, it looks like a lot more is going on compared to the Lego set, but it has less pieces and it has the same size basically. It actually has a full-blown third floor or second floor, right? Second floor, like background, first, second, right? So it has a lot more going on than Lego has, and it looks a lot more detailed, but it has the same piece count, even less. So that's interesting. That's quite some magic going on. I mean, the roof is much more simple, but yeah, it has an entire additional floor, and it's much more detailed. I guess the way this worked out is because it has not, especially in the upper floors, not the same depths as the Lego set has. But personally, this is much more my taste because it feels like a lot more is going on. With that, we are moving on to The Secret Inn by BlueBrixx. This thing has 1,755 pieces. It's asking for $10 basically for the instructions. And yeah, it's really, I think it's beautiful. It has a lot of detail in it, and it has a typical modern Lego castle vibe, right? I think this thing would fit entirely well with Lion Knight's Castle by Lego. I mean, I'm still not a big fan of these huge slopes that also Lego is using in the Lion Knight's Castle, but apart from that, I think it has all that you want to have. I mean, it screams for minifigures, right? It has this typical Lego minifigure charm. So yeah, beautiful design by BlueBrixx. And with that, final thing to say is I hope you liked the show. For those of you who watch this on YouTube, please leave a like, comment, or even better, subscribe to the channel. Or for you podcast listeners, wherever you listen to the show, rate, comment, like, subscribe. I definitely intend to keep this reboot of the news show going. And last but not least, thanks for listening. See you next week.